Holly, thank you so much for coming on today's show. I am so excited to talk to you. You have no idea.
Excited that you're having me.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be great because we live in the same community and
Yes,
we do know each other, but we don't really
right.
know each other.
I know. Yes.
So I am so excited to ask you questions and really get to know you, and my audience gets to know you too, and just how amazing you are.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
so first off, before we get started, I just want you to introduce yourself. Who are
Okay.
you and what do you do?
Yes, my name is Holly Burnell. I own Pure Bliss Land, a spa here in downtown DeLand. I have been in the industry 8 years, but I've owned my own business for four. I'm a mom of three boys, and I absolutely love what I do.
I love that. Me being a mom of two boys, like I get it. It's I love being a boy mom. It's the best
Yes,
thing in the world.
yeah, they keep you busy, that's for sure.
Yes. Oh my gosh, they absolutely do. Yeah, it's a good thing though.
It is.
So I want to talk about Pure Bliss for a
Yes,
second. Um,
absolutely.
you said you've been in business, like you've been doing this for longer than you've been in business. And
Correct.
so how did you first start into this industry? Like what first led you here?
So I will, and friends will always say this too. I was always the one that would do my friend's makeup. I was always so interested in skincare. I was always the one wearing the big hats, wearing the SPF, telling my friends you have to use the right moisturizer, and they would make fun of me, like, "What are you talking about? Who puts moisturizer on their skin?" Now everyone does at that age.
Right.
But so out of high school, I did go to massage school first. I loved it. I loved everything about it. But unfortunately, at that time, Florida did not have their own state license. It was an MCTMB test and it was a national. I took it 4 times and I struggled. And it wasn't even hands on. You had to like check in, they fingerprinted you, you're in this little cubicle with the camera above you. Yeah, talk about pressure.
That is
So
so stressful. I can't even imagine.
yes.
Ugh.
So I kind of just like gave up. Didn't feel like, okay, why am I going to keep paying for something? My first husband was like, oh, just let's move on to something else. So I worked in the medical field for 10 years behind the scenes. Life happens, marriage, baby, divorce. I got remarried the 10 years I was at the doctor's office and had my second son. And then it wasn't until I lost my father that I like really with the grieving process, I was just like really evaluating life. Life's so precious, especially when you love someone like so close to you. It really makes you like evaluate like I'm not doing something that fulfills me. So my
Mhm.
husband had worked so hard to get where he was, and I was literally getting a massage and the lady told me, I said how I love skincare. It's just I didn't know if I didn't want to risk going to school and giving up my job and not having that extra income. And she's like, you can go to like a school that's just for skin and you can be done in a couple months. I was like, wait, what? Like, I don't have to go to the whole cosmetology program. She's like, yeah. So I did my research. I approached my husband and I did it. And I remember it was literally 3 months after my father's passing. I did it. And I was done in 2.5 months. The doctor's office on my 10-year anniversary, they supported me. They had a going away party. They got me gifts for school and it was amazing. So I finished, and right when I was done with school, God would send certain clients while I was in school reminding me, like, you're doing the right thing. Because when you go from a steady income to something that's self employed, you have doubt, like, oh, am I going to find a job? Am I doing the right thing? And he would send the right clients that would speak life into me. And I would like literally be bawling afterwards, like, okay, I hear you. So I remember I had just finished school and I had also done continuing education on courses for more advanced services that you don't learn in aesthetics school. I wanted to separate myself from the rest. And a couple of the things no one was doing in DeLand, like the microneedling at that time. So I went to get additional certification. I was passing out resumes, but I wasn't really getting somewhere. And then a mutual friend kept saying, you need to go talk to this person, even if it's just for advice. She owns her own thing, but she doesn't have people under her. Just go talk to her. So I did. And we connected. And she literally was like, hey, I can turn my kitchen into a room for you. No one's using it. The massage therapist went to the room and it was a 3-room suite that she had. And I was like, okay, so I'm not starting out like commission or anything. This is like room renting. This is okay. Are people going to come? So that night we went home and we got on Craigslist, and I had a certain budget, and my mom and I found this listing, and this lady had like everything. So I told my mom, okay, I'm going to take this much money. I can't get everything. I'm going to get the important things. So my mom went with me, of course, because it's Craigslist listing. And
Yeah.
this woman literally was about to open her own salon and suite, and she started going through a divorce, and she never opened, but she had bought everything. When I say everything, down to the linens, like everything, decorations, and the decorations were the exact same theme of that spa I started at. So my mom took secret cash because she kept putting stuff aside, and we ended up walking away with probably $5,000 worth of stuff for like $800.
Oh
So
my
if
goodness.
that's not God, like it brings tears to my eyes. So it was beautiful. I reception to work with my rent, and I think it only took a month until I had clients enough to pay my rent. And growing up in Deland, everyone's so supportive, and my friends were all excited. So I did offer a service that was so new and exciting. So I was part of that spa, and they grew, and then COVID happened.
Mm.
Um COVID, I really remember God just telling me through COVID, rest. And it's funny because in January of that year, right before the lockdown, my word that year was rest. And I was like, rest. Okay. All right. I was very content. I room rented. I was able to be a mom, you know, and month after the lockdown, I went back, and I was pretty much approached like, this working relationship has come to an end. I think it's best that we part ways. And I just remember in that moment, really like relying on God. And of course I felt broken, but I just like my close friends rallying around me, like, do your own thing. And I did go look at a few places and other spas to room rent, but then I was just like, what if I meant to do my own thing? What if I don't want someone to be in control if I can go to work or not? So it all aligned up. My ex-husband actually knew the owner of that had a suite available on Rich, the little intimate studio, one room. And I went and looked at it, and next thing you know, it's what was meant to be. And that's scary because not only were everyone coming out of the lockdown, not wanting to be around anyone, but to start a business a month and a half after the lockdown, like I was like, who's going to want facial? Like, who's going to want to, but I can tell you my first year was my busiest year. And I worked every day. I didn't turn anyone away, because why would you, starting a business that within my first year, I was really able to heal and grow. And I offered something that a lot of people didn't, that intimacy. They weren't coming in contact with anyone. It was just me there. So, that's how I pretty much got started, and that started Pure Bliss. And I know since I've started, I've grown, which I'm sure you're going to want to know the story of that, but that's how Pure Bliss happened.
That is so crazy. I didn't realize all that. So
Yeah.
right out of the gate, you were paying rent, like your own
Yeah.
rent for your space. It wasn't like you were commission based, which a lot
No,
of people will do the commission because it feels a little bit safer,
it
right? You're not on the
feels
hook
safe.
for money.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
And so you took that plunge right there. And
Yeah.
then let's go back to like when you were told that, let's just go our own ways, however that conversation went. What was that first feeling that you got
Uh,
when that was said to you?
I wasn't expecting it. um, More so because there was a friendship attached to that. Um, I think, and I've had healing, and, you know, have had spoken to a counselor a lot. I felt a lot of shame, like rejection, like
Mm.
growing up. My father wasn't able to really be the father he wanted to be. I think my stepmom wouldn't allow him. So when you have like other trauma, you naturally like your coping is performance based. Like if I'm not, it's like that rejection. I believed a lie. And I really took it as what? And you know what I mean? And but there was more, it was more than just a business relationship. It hurt. But I wouldn't be where I am, and if that door wouldn't have closed, because God had a much more beautiful door open. And I'm grateful for my first 4 years. at that business because I learned a lot and I look up to that person
Right.
still, for guidance and wisdom. I wouldn't have taken that step. I was content.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was capable of.
Yeah. No, and I love that. I love that you can find forgiveness or whatever that was. I don't
Absolutely.
know, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you felt hurt and rejection. What a great word, right? Because anytime
Yes.
somebody says no for whatever the question is, we
Yes.
automatically do feel a little bit of rejection. So I think that's a really good word that you use because I think that's something we can all relate to
Yeah.
is what that feels like. But I
Yeah.
love that you're like, okay, I understand, that had to happen as much as that hurt in the
Yeah.
moment. That had to
Mhm.
happen to get me to where I am now because I would have never, maybe not, maybe, but probably not taken the step that you took when you took it.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
absolutely. But I did learn a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be doing everything I'm doing if I wasn't no, like unaware that I was learning all that I learned from her and her growing her business while I was there.
Yeah. Do you think being there, contributed to the confidence of being able to take the leap? Because you could have in that moment said, okay, I'm just going to go look for another spot that I can rent from or use
Um,
their space instead of saying, I'm going to go out on my own and I can do
honestly,
this.
I feel like my mom and my husband were the ones that really pushed me to just do my own thing. I was like, I don't know. I was so close to picking a room at a salon. But then because of that hurt and knowing like, well, what if this happens again? What if they're like, this isn't working out? I don't want to someone to be in control of if I can work on my clients or not.
Right.
So I was like, and the price was like it just everything aligned beautifully.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey,
I
yeah,
love when that happens. And just hearing you, I knew before this, but hearing you on this podcast, it's no surprise you have a lot of faith. And
uh,
and you lean on God a lot, and I do as well. Even though this isn't a Christian-based podcast, that's part of my life. So I
yeah,
talk about my faith quite a bit.
absolutely. I
And
wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for my faith.
right? And I love like as you're sharing, it's almost like in those moments, you know, that's who's there.
Yeah,
And that brings comfort. I know for me as well, when you're like, I'm not really sure what's happening right now, then you're like, okay, God, like I'm giving it up to you.
yes,
Like
yes.
just guide
Charity,
me.
that's a beautiful thing. Walking through all of that and with the business, I'm like, okay, God birthed this. Yes, there's going to be bumps along the way, but this is from God. And you know what?
Yeah.
The enemy cannot touch it. This
Yeah.
is birthed from God. And I just have to rely on Him and be like, you already know the situation and I
Yeah.
trust your outcome. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I know even with my journey, my degree is in psychology. I never thought I would be in digital marketing. It was not on my radar, did not care about
Mhm.
it. Nothing. And or doing a podcast, right? Well, talking has always been on my radar or something,
Yes.
eh, but no, when I look back at everything, how it was just perfectly placed to get me where I am today. It's like, wow, I didn't get it in the moment, but now I get it when I see it
Yes.
all come together. And it's such a
Oh, absolutely.
cool picture, cool feeling.
It is.
Yeah. So now you get started, right? You've taken
Yeah.
this leap.
Yeah.
You've got your
It,
own space. You're doing your
it
own
was
thing.
beautiful. I was healing. I will say I was able to, for the first time in my life, I was 35. Yes. 35. Yeah, I'll be 40 in December. So yeah, I was 35, maybe 36. I don't know. I can't do the math right now. But anyway, for the first time, I can say I really figured out who I was authentically
Wow.
because it's just me. I did the healing. I had these amazing moments and people come to you for you. Like they can go anywhere and get any service, but at the end of the day, they come to you for you. They come back for you.
Right.
And just the love and support from my friends, the community. Like I grew up here. I went to school here. Last year was my 20-year reunion for Deanna. Like, that hometown feel. Like
Yeah.
I love our community. I was involved in JSL and now I'm in Rotary. Like I love community involvement. So I really feel like that having that community has helped and supported, but I've always been one that's like, I love empowering people. So while I was there my first year, literally working 7 days a week, I knew two girls that had just finished esthetician school. I knew them personally. No one's hiring, let alone if you don't have experience. So they were like, can we mentor you? And I was like, well, I really like offering the intimacy I have. And, yes, things are kind of getting back to normal. It's almost been a year. People are not really wearing masks as much. But how about this? I can't keep working 7 days a week. What if I give you each a day and that be your day to bring in friends and family, practice, or start taking clients? So that way you can then say you have experience and then go elsewhere. So that worked great until they needed more than just the day. So then I remember I was like, okay, God. And my mom told me this. When I saw that speech, she's like, shouldn't you get something bigger? I'm like, what? She's like, yeah. I'm like, no, I'm worried about me having enough clients. No, I'm not worrying about anyone else. So it's funny because I was like, okay, if it's meant to happen and we're meant to take this next step together, it will all happen. So I found a sublet for my space and I prayed about it. And I actually had someone in my chair that opened a very well-known spa in town, and she has sold it a few times and she actually owns it again. A great source. Oh my gosh, I love her. So much wisdom. Well, she was in my chair and I was like, where I'm drawn to that I would love if I could pick a bigger space. And it was where I started. And it was because it's a strip of like suites. And she's
Right.
like, and I know my landlord, I went to school with his daughter. She's like, call him right now. And I'm like, okay. I call him, leave a message. Well, sure enough, he called me back. He's like, hey, I have something opening next month. I was like, oh, like a month.
Wow.
And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So one of my prayer warrior friends is a massage therapist, and she does like inner healing. Like, really, I will say, like, she's been a big key part of my journey and my growth. And so we prayed, and I was like, I'm really nervous about tomorrow. And I was like, if the only way it could work if it was this number, because I know these girls are going to be starting out, so I'm not going to put the pressure on them. Like, they can help out behind the scenes, but I'm not expecting them to pay room rent right away. Like, I want to be able to help them. And so I was like, but this number, I can do this number a month. And I had a friend go with me just because I didn't want to be blown away. I needed someone to look at everything and help me like bring it in. Like, this this is how much it's probably going to cost to do in the space. So we looked at it, and there was a lot of work that needed done. A lot. But we sat down. The number he told me was that number.
Are you kidding me?
That number. And 30 was the last part of the number. It was like a certain amount with $30. And when I told my friend, I was like, you wouldn't believe it. She's like, 30. Do you know what 30 represents? And she was going all about like what 30 represents in the Bible. And Jesus was 30 and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it just like all aligned. And so 3 years I had been in this location. Um, Last year, I actually expanded and took on the unit next to us.
Oh,
And
wow.
so now we have the 2 units, and there are currently 10 of us. But what I really did, besides just more so having the spa, is when we expanded, I wanted to bring on other things and people that had their businesses. So the massage therapist that I have known, I am blessed that she's part of this collaboration. We have spray tanning, permanent makeup, like just a lot. And what I want the girls to do is I've encouraged them all to have their own logo. I want them to have their own social media presence. It's a collaboration, but I want them to have their own following. One thing I learned is I didn't have my own following. I didn't have my own social media for my esthetician. So when I had to open Pure Bliss, I had to start over.
Yeah.
So I'm encouraging them, not saying they're ever going to leave. I hope they don't, but
Right,
I
right.
want you to be who you are. Have a business name, have a logo, like when you post, just collaborate and it will post on both pages. You know what I mean? So I just love what we have birthed and what we've grown and the people that are here. And there's been a few people that have had to come and go, whether it's been distance or, it just didn't work out. But that's the
Yeah.
beautiful thing about life. And especially, our stories, like our life, we have a story, and our business, we have a story. Some people are a page, some people are a chapter, and some people are a part of our whole story. So
Right.
I really learned that.
I love that you allow them to do that. You don't hear that often because usually if they're working for a spa, a salon, whatever, they have to go under that particular branding and they don't get the freedom to represent themselves. And I think that comes out of a fear
Right.
a fear and a mindset of scarcity. Like they're going to leave, they're going to take something from me. So I love that you're like, listen, there's
No. being on
There's
the other
enough, there's
side,
abundance, there's enough
right?
for everybody. Build your
Yes,
business while you're here, and
yes,
hopefully you stay here for
yeah,
good, right? But if
yes.
it's not the right fit, I get
Right,
it. Like, if
God
you've
has
gotta
someone
fly,
else for
fly.
you. Yes, yes, absolutely. I think being on the other side really showed me that, because I was so good about posting for that other business that, I had to like really come out of my shell and then I had to start over. So I want them all to have their own business account.
Yeah,
And a lot of them were like, oh, I don't need to make a logo. I'm like, no, let me help you design a logo. You need a logo. So there's a sign under the Pure Bliss sign at our front door and it has everyone's logos. I want them to be represented. You know what
right,
I mean? I want to
right.
empower them to feel encouraged. Like they inside Pure Bliss have their own like little business. They room rent. Now the estheticians kind of fall under the Pure Bliss umbrella, but at the end of the day, they are their own person.
Right. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So everything sounds like it just falls into place, but I know that there's moments. I would be shocked if you tell me there's not moments when you're just not sure, where doubt
Oh,
is creeping in, when you're like, what am I doing? Right. Whatever scenario.
oh
Tell me
yes.
you have those moments, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This I will say, like, how a lot of people say they have a prayer room. I used to have one, but my spa is my prayer room. I get here before anyone in the morning. I
Mm.
pray, I lay hands on everyone's door. Um, there are moments. And there have been two people that had to leave. That one, it was the distance, and the other one just, she had a lot of other things going on, but they worked out beautifully. And I wouldn't lie if I didn't say, like, 10 women, like, come on. But we all like have such great personalities. And I don't know what the future holds. Like
Right.
I'd be lying if I didn't think that there was gonna be maybe some upcoming changes happening.
Oh, ooh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Keep us on the hook there. A little suspense, huh, to pay
Yeah.
attention to what's happening. So,
Yeah.
how do you push through those moments? You talked about you come in early. Is that what you do when you are having that uncertainty, or do you do that all the time?
Oh no, I do that every morning. I
Do
feel like,
you?
oh, I'm very like, I wouldn't say I'm OCD, but very routine. So
Okay.
I feel like my days are not good if I do not have my time to pray in the morning. So
I
summer, my schedule's a little off because I wasn't rushing in after I take the kids to school. But I really do like having that time here, having the worship music playing throughout the spa, praying, having my quiet time, no distraction. It
yeah.
is so crazy in the mornings getting my kids up, out the door. You know, they say something wrong, you react to them, and then your whole morning's a mess. I like
Yeah.
to just come here and just relax. And
Uh,
I really do feel like, this place has been anointed. It's been prayed over. A lot of things have conversations have been had here. Like I cry with my clients. They cry with me. Like it's just where I feel good. Don't I mean I can pray at home and feel peace, but I really feel like my business is part of my ministry. I'm drawn to women and um yeah, I feel like when even if it's something in life, coming here and just having, even if I shut my door to my spa room and just having my time, like I feel the weight being lifted.
that's great. Very cool. I mean, there's so many spas around, right? And you know that you've
Yeah,
mentioned a few already and
yes,
you're friends with them and you respect
yes,
them and like them. But how
absolutely.
that's a lot of competition, right? And I'm sure
Yeah,
all areas can feel the same thing if they have a
yeah.
spa. Like, there's spas are all over the place. What do you think has contributed to your success?
Um, I'm not as good as I was, but being authentic and just being real. I used to do live videos all the time. I would do a lot of giveaways. I wanted to give back. I remember my first month, and it's funny, it's been on my memories because I opened my business in July. And so here, my memories, a month after my grand opening, I did a big giveaway of my first year. And I remember I was just so vulnerable. And looking back, I miss that me. I miss, how like in your hardest moments, you feel your strongest in your faith. And so
Yes.
I look back at a lot
Yes.
of, am I still as strong as I was then? I just look at myself and I'm proud of the growth. But I'm like, man, maybe I need to get back to doing that. But I feel like my clients have watched me grown. But I think just them seeing the real me. I wasn't trying to be someone I wasn't.
Right.
They saw me learning, they saw me growing. Um, I'm all about giving back. And now I'm trying to encourage my girls. Everyone knows who I am. I want them to see them. So I'm trying to encourage them. I can't always be the one posting. Let
Mm.
people start seeing you. I can help you. Let's do a video. Let's do a funny little reel just so they can see us being silly. But yeah, I feel like that's what really separated me. But at the end of the day, just like hair salons, there's so many.
Right. There's a
People
lot.
come back for you. People come back for you. And I used to cringe when you would see a notification on Facebook looking for recommendations and one person recommended you. And then you're like, okay, is anyone else going to recommend me? And but I love because now I'm just like, I can just reply and be like, thank you so much for the recommendations. And I'm honest. Every place recommended above are great. I hope you find the right fit for you.
Right.
And end of the day, that's what matters is finding the right fit for them.
Yeah. I love that you do that. That's really nice because I've gotten tagged in all those too. And like
Yeah.
you read things and yeah, I
Yes.
know that feeling you're talking about. It's like, oh, and there's so much competition and what I do
Right.
as well. It's like, okay. And they are great. It's like there are a
Yeah.
lot of choices. You have to find the one that's right for you.
Exactly. Yes. It
That's so
should be
true.
more about collaboration over competition. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Yeah.
Yes. 100% I buy into that. So if
Yeah.
somebody is listening and they're thinking about starting their own business, right? And let's
Okay.
just say they want to take the same route that you're doing,
Yeah.
but they're not sure, they're a little bit nervous. What advice would you give them?
Well, if you have faith, definitely pray about it. Um, Honestly, I feel like it's better just to do it and to try because you don't want to look back and wonder.
Mm.
Especially if everything is aligning. You might be like, whoa, this is no, but step through the door, do it. And don't be scared to reach out to people for advice. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Right. That was a
I
big
love when
mistake of mine.
people, yes, I love when people are like, hey, can I come shadow you? Hey, because I would love for them to get the knowledge before going through it and be like, oh, this isn't what I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I felt like I had to always have all the answers in the beginning. I'm like, "Okay, I
And we
can't
don't.
show that I don't know something," right? Because then it's gonna
Yeah.
make me look weak or not as good as the competition, and I was so afraid of that. So, I was like, "Okay, I'll figure it out. I'll do it. I'll figure it out." But
Yeah.
not anymore. I'm like, "Okay, now I know
Yeah.
more," but I'm still like,
Yeah.
now I'm willing to say, that, okay, I'll reach out to somebody that I know is really skilled in that, and I'll ask
Yeah.
them those questions. So, if you could change something or if you could do it all over again, is there anything you would do differently?
Um, Honestly, I feel like I don't regret how things have ever happened because you have to go through things. There's always going to be ups, there's always going to be downs. But I feel like I would go back and tell myself in that moment that it's all going to work out. And I think I'm finally at that place now. Whenever there's a hiccup, like, God's already got this. I have peace. But
Mhm.
like, don't stress over it. This is from God. This business is from Him. Look at what all He's already done. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes we can just let it really consume us in the hard moment. And honestly, also, I would have let myself praise myself a little bit more in the beginning. I feel like I really didn't sit back and really be like, wow, I own my own business till probably my second year in. I didn't
Really?
like, I didn't give myself that, like, not like, I don't know if that makes sense, but I just had this aha moment like, wow, I did this. You know what I mean?
I
So I
do, I
feel
get
like
it.
I should maybe have encouraged myself more. I've been like, look what you did. I don't feel like one, we give ourselves enough credit. So there's things I would probably try, like affirmations I would have worked on with myself
Yeah.
to encourage myself. Yeah.
I feel that. I do. I know people when they would say something to me like, "Oh my gosh, like I've been watching you. You're so successful. You're like killing it." And I'm like, "I am? Like what am
Yes.
I doing? I'm just in the grind." Like,
You're like,
it's like, "What?" Like it's like
yeah,
you just don't see yourself in that
right.
way because you're
You're doing
running a
it.
business, you're trying to stay alive, right? You're like in that
Yes.
grind. You're like, "Oh, wait, what's going on around me? What do you see?"
Yes. Hmm.
That's so awesome. Holly, thank you so much for
You're
coming
welcome.
on. I love this conversation. We've never had to get,
Oh, good.
we haven't gotten coffee together. So this is kind of
I
like our
know.
coffee chat,
Yes.
catching up, but we need to get together and get
Yes, I
coffee
would
though.
love that. Thank you for having me on here.
You are so welcome. You're so welcome. And everybody, if you're following, or I'm going to have all the links actually, so you can follow Holly and Pure
Yeah.
Bliss. They're all going to be on the show notes. So just scroll down, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify, or if you're on my website, reading it on the blog, you just scroll and all of her links are right there. So
Yes.
Holly, thank you again. This has been
You're
wonderful.
welcome. Thank you so much for
You
having
are
me.
absolutely welcome. Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful day.
We'll
Bye.
see everybody. Bye.